Hi, I'm Ryan, and I created Nyched, the world's first human interaction platform. It seems like that there's always someone fighting online, and sometimes that spills into the real world. But this polarization isn't how things actually usually work in reality. Usually when you have conversations with people and you get outside doing like interests with one another, the polarization kind of becomes more civil. Right? We still have our disagreements. We're still passionate about things that we're passionate about. And oftentimes when you're passionate about a topic, that means that there's other people who are passionate about the opposite side of that thing from you. But this digital polarization, this difference and inequality in the way the digital world works and the way the real world works is not how we kind of developed as human beings. It's not how the social mechanisms developed as human beings. And it's something that I don't think is very beneficial most of the time. I don't think being at odds with one another really solves anything. It's exhausting constantly fighting and having that heightened sense, of what's going on and what can I argue about next. And online, it seems like oftentimes that's all it's about. I feel like the more we engage online in this polarization and these arguments, the more it's difficult to believe anything other than it's an us versus them type of situation, where there's just this great chasm in between people and what they believe. And most of the time, I think we want to just interact with our interests and hobbies. We don't want to be constantly bombarded by the bad stuff that's out there in the world or the things we disagree with. We'd rather see things that are of interest to us and have conversations with people who are interested in those things as well. Then once you have that social credibility, it's a lot easier to have conversations about topics that we disagree with. I've had really great conversations with people that I don't agree with on a base ideological level about a lot of things. But it all comes back to what type of time have I invested into this friendship or this relationship before we got to that point. I didn't open with things that are polarizing. I opened with, hey, what do you do for work? What do you do for fun? Do you like that steak that you're eating? Maybe I'll try that next time. Nobody jumps right into the middle of, the most divisive thing that they believe. I mean, some people do. I have seen it happen. But those people, they're not operating in reality. They're operating in some echo chamber that said that that's okay, or they operate mostly online and they learned it from being online. This affects our health and our anxiety. Not being able to have conversations with other people who are in our communities is something that is detrimental to society. And I believe that we have to push this away. We have to be committed to changing and being better for the future of people, humanity. Whoever comes next, whatever comes next, we need to make a decision now to decide to, I don't know what the right word is for it, be diplomatic, I guess. Be diplomatic in the way we approach relationships and conversations so that we can have friendships and relationships without them devolving into some sort of, war, which is essentially where we're at right now. The polarization we experience online fuels divisiveness, not only on platforms or wherever we hang out online, but also in the real world. And the main thing driving this in most scenarios is algorithms online. See, algorithms, they want us to connect with sensational feelings, things that are, divisive because it gets more clicks and likes and more engagement and interactions. And the algorithm is designed to keep us engaged for longer so that we in turn see more ads, because the advertisers are the real customers on platforms and just online in general. People are trying to keep us on their sites for longer so that they can get more ad revenue most of the time. And the way this spills over into the real world is, it used to not be socially acceptable just to get in an argument or get heated about things, but we see that more and more often out in the real world. And I think it's more constructive to sit there and actually have a conversation with someone, to get face to face with someone and, hash out the differences and whatever it happens to be that you disagree with, and hopefully at least find some understanding on why the person believes what they believe or why they interact with the hobby the way they do, and move forward from there. You know, we don't all have to be like on the same page. We don't all have to be the same in our beliefs and our interests and our hobbies, because if we were, that would be a pretty boring world. You wouldn't get any difference in opinion. You wouldn't get any different perspective. We'd all just be robots. We need to have balance in life. We can't just live constantly every free moment of our day online, because it's not beneficial to us. It's not healthy. It's important to do other things and to interact with other people. I'm not saying you have to agree with them. Maybe you have a really solid foundation on what you believe and how you want to interact with interests and hobbies. Hey, that's cool. But hearing other people out and hearing differences of opinions is what helps you solidify that. If we're never challenged, how do we know that we're headed down the right path? That goes for anything. You might be thinking right now that I'm talking about religion or politics or something like that, but if we're not challenged in sports we play, if we're not challenged in the hobbies, if we're not challenged in the games that we're interested in, how do we know that we're good? How do we know that we're progressing and getting better and, you know, truly interacting with those things to the fullest of their potential? Without balance in life, there's no way to tell. There's no feedback mechanism to tell us those things. Without getting experiences from cross interests, you know, from different places to know or to learn or to continue to grow, then we're really not doing ourselves a service. And it's something that's a huge consideration in my life. I consider all the time, am I balanced? I'm terrible at working. Not in the sense that I don't do work, in the sense that I work all the time. My mind will not shut off about the things that I am passionate about. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but if I don't intentionally go out to find some balance in life, then I'm agitated, I'm on edge, I'm anxious about things, and it doesn't benefit anyone around me. It doesn't benefit the communities I'm in. And oftentimes I find myself being aware enough to remove myself from those situations so that I don't affect the people that I do care about. Part of the solution is getting out into the real world and interacting with different types of ideas and people face to face. You know, there's something about being out in the real world that can't be replaced by anything online. And I'm not confident that it ever will be. I'm not confident that whatever that thing is, I don't know the right word for it, could ever be replaced by anything technological. And not only does, you know, getting outside and getting into the real world expose us to different people and ideas, it also helps our mental health to be in front of another person having a conversation, to actually being challenged by someone face to face instead of challenged by words on a screen, and then hours go by and you give your reply and you get challenged again hours later, and maybe conversations last for days, but they're not really conversations. They're more point and counterpoint. It's more of a bastardized debate than anything, because it takes place over a long period of time and you can't see their body language. You don't know how nuanced they're trying to convey a thought. We take our own personal bias and apply it to the thing that we read and interpret it in whatever way it happens to come out, which I guarantee 100% of the time is not 100% the way that that person was wishing to convey whatever thought that was. So getting out here, getting out in the real world, it has a huge benefit in terms of depolarizing situations. This video is sponsored by Nyched. Nyched did something amazing. They started with you and decided, hey, I don't care what they believe or think or what their opinion is about things. If it's different than mine, that's okay. Nyched was designed because I believe that it's great when people have difference of views and opinions, because that's how we find new information. That's how we discover new things. That's how we adventure through life. You know, we remove the algorithm, and in its place, we put the responsibility on you, the individual, to make decisions about what comes across your feed. And we remove gatekeepers, because again, gatekeepers are another thing that's in between you and your information. We implemented a reward system that you can spend inside of the app to do different and more things, because out in the real world, we have that already. It's called time, and we get to spend our time how we please. And we've got to consider if our time is worth it to spend or to waste on whatever that thing is that crossed our path. You know, if anything I've talked about here interests you, please go to resistthealgorithm.com, check it out, see if it's something that you want to support, see if the beta is something you want to join. And if you can't at this time, I totally get that. You being here just means the world to me, though. You being here is supporting Nyched. And together we're going to grow a great community together that changes the way people interact online. Thank you so much for being here, and stay tuned for more. If we're going to depolarize and find common ground, we have to find a way to get out of our echo chambers. Now, you've heard me say before, I don't believe echo chambers are a bad thing 100% of the time. I think echo chambers are great when you found some sort of good thing to be in an echo chamber for. So we want to be in an echo chamber when we're learning how to do something new. We want to be in an echo chamber when we're learning about a certain topic or a certain ideology, because it gives us the perspective of that person or group or whatever it happens to be. In order to understand someone, I think you oftentimes have to put yourself in an echo chamber. And it's sort of like the old adage, you know, don't judge a person until you've walked a mile in their shoes. It's kind of the same thing, right? But if we stay in echo chambers all the time, and especially the negative aspects of echo chambers, because the bad part of the echo chamber are the people that are, you know, stalwart, the people that don't change in what they believe. They don't take new information and go with it. They're the old hats, right? They stay the same no matter what is presented to them, and they will not yield. That's the part of echo chambers. If we start listening to those people, then we're in a world of trouble, because you can't innovate that way. You can't be creative. You can't discover new things. And one of the most beautiful parts of life is learning and discovering new things, becoming better, growing, not staying the same. Now, there's places and times when being the same is good. You know, sometimes you arrive at things, but I'm an expert in a handful of things, but I still don't think I'm the best. I still want to learn and grow and be better at that. And I think most people resonate with that idea. Most people don't walk through their days saying, oh, it's good, I'm fine here. You know, most people anticipate tomorrow being better than today. We've all felt that frustration when someone posts something online and we disagree with it, or it feels like an attack on us. Most of the time, I don't think most people are thinking that much about me. You know, the older I get, the more I realize that I'm probably not at the center of the universe. And one of the biggest ways I kind of detached from the polarization that is online is I started to mindfully consume media and social media. I didn't allow for apps and for algorithms to control my life to the point where I felt compelled to jump back into the scrolling loop. I did this by turning almost all notifications off on my phone and on my computer. The only notifications I get really are text messages from my wife and close friends, and I don't get them from apps anymore. So I get to choose when I engage with those platforms. And the other thing too is just being aware of the situation, putting potential time limits on so that you're not there forever. I get sucked in. Everybody does. I'm not perfect by any means about this. But what I noticed that happened when I turned off notifications and I stopped being on it all the time is it gave me a lot more time for other things, the things that really matter in life: family, interests, hobbies, the people I want to surround myself with, interacting with them. It wasn't all of a sudden 2 a.m. anymore, and I'd been scrolling for 4 hours after I laid down to go to bed. So I'd really encourage you, if this resonates with you, give it a try. Try to do something like that for a couple of days or a week, because there's only benefit that could happen from detaching from the online ecosystems. Not being polarized starts with us. It starts on an individual level. It starts with the decision to not get frustrated or angry about things that people say. And I find the 2 greatest ways for me to do that is to get outside. I did a whole video on that, you know, on playing and interacting with other people and doing things for fun. And also finding community. Finding community where you can interact with people, and, you know, when you give an idea out, you're not just completely lambasted right off the front. You know, when you say, hey, what about this? People are like, haha, you're stupid, right? That's not the way we live life usually in the real world face to face. Now, sometimes you do and you're joking around, and that's okay. But if you're in communities like that, where it's not healthy for you, find other communities. When you find a healthy community that you can share ideas with and bounce ideas off of each other and collaborate on things, regardless of what it is, it creates a really healthy environment, not only for you, not only for the community, but for everyone around you, because there's a spillover effect. When you get to have a community like that, you get excited about hanging out with that community. And then you tell other people about, hey, come along, come with me. This place is great. And you get to experience other people's perspectives and opinions and disagree in a healthy manner. So I've been very fortunate to find places like that. And I've made it kind of my life's mission to communicate and interact with people in that way and not settle for subpar interactions. You know, most people who know me realize that if we're going to have a conversation, it's going to be serious. And I have friends who are like, hey, I'm not in the mood to go that deep right now. And I'm like, okay, cool. But it's something that's expected. I've noticed that people expect it around me, and I love it personally. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but being able to find community, being able to get out and do something for fun, those are the two biggest ways to start on an individual level of not being in this polarization mindset all of the time. The polarization found online and polarization in general is not a positive thing for individuals, for yourself, and for society. It's something that gets in the way of progressing past this point that we're at in any point in time. It stifles creativity, and it doesn't allow us to collaborate with other people, and it divides relationships and friendships and makes it difficult for us to interact with our hobbies, and it's not beneficial for our mental health either. And it needs to stop. We need to figure out a way as society where we can actually have conversations with people once again and disagree, and that's okay because we both love Hawaiian pizza. Ugh. Or, you know, we're great at soccer and we love playing pickup games of soccer, or whatever it happens to be. Other things shouldn't get in the way of that, because most of the time that's not important for the relationships or society. It's important for the individual, what you believe on your personal level, but it doesn't matter as much in society if you disagree on that level. What's more important is that we can disagree so that we can agree. You know, I've always hated the phrase, I agree to disagree. I'm like, no. Let's disagree so we can at least find where each other is at. Because if you agree to disagree, you're saying, let's stop talking about it. If you disagree to agree, you at least have that tension or whatever, but then you move forward from there and you're okay. It's okay to not agree with someone about 100% of things. I don't know who needs to hear it, but that's okay. And that's exactly what I aim to do with Nyched, what I hope you get to experience on Nyched. Nyched is a place where it's free from algorithms pushing you to a certain thing. It gives you the ability to choose and decide what you want to see and interact with. And it allows us, hopefully, to have more intelligent and critically thinking conversations. Nyched is the world's first human interaction platform, and it is totally within your control. To learn more, go to resistthealgorithm.com. If you like this video, I would love it if you gave it a like. If you have something to say on this topic, if you disagree with me, or if you agree with me, or you have another thought that I've overlooked, please leave a comment below. It is my favorite part, getting to interact with each and every one of you. And if you want to see more things like this, stay tuned, because the next video is coming up right now.